Hello and welcome everybody to the OB Builders Cup Series, live from virtual Kansas on Grid Vision. I'm Sheldon Atkins, joining the booth with Taylor Burris and Austin Divershire over there in the production truck this evening. Got a long race tonight here at a track with a lot of different opportunities and a lot of different chances for these guys to make hay. Taylor, tell me, how do you feel about the Kansas Speedway, buddy?
Well, by far, you are looking at a fan favorite when it comes to racing in the NASCAR Cup Series, as it is now home to the closest finish in NASCAR history as of last year, and we're going to hopefully see some exciting racing here. But this track, one of the newer circuits that was built in the early 2000s, along with all of the tracks that were built during that time period. But Kansas Speedway, this mile-and-a-half track, is going to put on a stellar show for us here tonight. 175 laps, and I got to say, the weather is looking quite good out there for these drivers as they get set to go racing.
Absolutely. Beautiful day here at the Kansas Speedway. Right now we are looking at temperatures in the 73-degree mark. Track temp building up to 105 degrees. So, Taylor, give us the keys to the race to get around this slightly cooler version of Kansas than what we're used to.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, we have to talk about this track is a multi-groove circuit. You're going to see drivers stick to the bottom on those first opening laps here, but then progress their way up till, well, they're riding right against the outside wall and holding on for dear life as they try to work their way through. But as they're reaching that top speed, they got to watch about coming down on pit road. Pit road speeds are very critical, and just how difficult it can be from going over 190 miles an hour down to about 55 is going to be critical. And then, of course, you want to get comfy with that wall, just holding on, not wanting to scrape too much, getting like a Darlington Stripe situation, but you want to try to get as close as you can. The more it is you're close to that wall, the better momentum you're able to get off corner exit.
Absolutely. Also, that pit road thing, man, you gotta be really careful too, because it's very easy to wheel hop, spin yourself around. We saw that a lot earlier in the week. Now we're gonna roll over to the broadcaster picks, and tonight I gotta go. I gotta go with so many good drivers in the field, but I gotta go with that 12 machine of Jared Feltman. Saw him in the Wednesday night, and man, he was really putting the pedal down and making moves that nobody else was thinking about. It's kind of a dark horse, haven't talked about him a whole lot this year, but I feel like that 12 machine's gonna be quick this evening. How about you, Taylor?
Well, for me, I'm going to go with that number 56. He's always a contender no matter what when we're seeing in any of the Grid Vision broadcasts. Johan Seminario, he's going to be my pick to hear with this event.
And Austin Derbyshire over there in the production booth going to hit with a homer, one that I'm not allowed to pick, Justin Levine, which, what we've seen out of him this week here at the Kansas Speedway as well as last week at Texas, not a bad pick at all.
He's your defending race winner.
Absolutely. Either way, we're going to move this thing forward here and pull up the grid, see how everybody's lining up here this evening at the Kansas Speedway with a really stacked field of 37 all-star drivers here in the OB Builders Cup. But starting it off from the pole, it's going to be Sean Conklin with Tommy Gossett on the outside. To complete the Ryco trifecta up here at the front, Roger Pierce in third, followed by Brian Johnson. Josh Schaffner starting off in fifth, with Alex Coffey starting at sixth. Seventh place is going to be Paul Bergoli with Joseph Gulata in eighth. Ninth place is going to be Johan Seminario, and rounding up the top 10 is going to be Paul Hill in the 26 machine.
It's going to be in 11th position, Justin Levine in the 19 Toyota, followed by Peter Irons in the number 1. In the row number 7, we'll find the driver of Chris Crosby and Colby Jackson. Moving on to the next row, in row number 8, it's going to be Patrick Gitter and Brandon Pascaluca, who will be in 16th. Greg Carr and Chris Vinson will be in row number 9, and rounding out your top 20 is John Binder and Corey Moore.
And 21st, you got the biggest character in the field, Joseph Causey with Jared Feltman in 22nd. 23rd, going to be Cody Curran with Randy A. Mullins in 24th. 25th place is going to be Alexander Carr with Lou Christian starting his outside in the 3 machine. 27th place is going to be Tyler Hunter with Joshua Hyatt in 28th. 29th place is going to be Darren Mullins, and rounding out your top 30 is going to be Carl Dodson.
31st, we'll see the driver of Dustin Motley alongside him with Randy Belk. In 33rd, we'll find Chad Kibbe and Derek Heitman in 34th. Adam Benefield and Matt DiCiani will be a little further back, and riding shotgun in the field is Michael Wills in the 157.
Race car is starting to roll its way off of pit road here. Sean Conklin leading a field of highly talented drivers here off of pit road. And Man, with the strength of field we have here tonight, somebody just commented in the driver chat too that they are sitting at a 3.9K SOF. So it's going to be a hard one here, especially for some of these guys that started in the back. Trying to get the track position early is not going to be easy because these guys aren't going to be cutting anybody any slack.
Absolutely not. I mean, you're looking at basically what you would see on a Wednesday night or a Friday night top split NASCAR iRacing Series event. And this is going to be critical to see how these drivers play it off here, especially for 175 laps.
Pace car is working its way into turns 3 and 4 with the field fast in tow. This machine's 675 horsepower of fine American engineering getting ready to unleash as we work ourselves into 4. Pace car taking the dive down pit road. Conklin leading us into the Geico restart zone. Flag in hand. Barney ready to wave it off for us. The flag is down. The green flag is out. We are underway in a good, clean start up here at the front. Sean Conklin getting a good push from behind to get him clear of his Ryco teammate, Tommy Gossett, coming into turn 1.
Side by side as they battle for second place. The number 27, though, will drop down into that second position of Roger Pierce. I believe there might be a penalty, though, for the 033 of Tommy Gossett. Did he possibly jump the start there and lost position? We'll have to wait and see what the officials decide to do. But the 033 of Tommy Gossett in trouble here, and he's going to come down pit road to serve that penalty. But will miss pit entry. Misses pit entry. That's going to cost him valuable time out on the racetrack.
No, he didn't really have the option to make it either. He had the entire field packed up to the rear bumper, and we got one car hard into the fence on the outside of the track. Turn around backwards. Colby Jackson
that is
pinned up against the wall.
He was in some trouble at the start of the race because he jumped out pretty hard off the start of the race, had a wheel spin, and went outside. That caused a lot of issues.
We're looking at the replay. One heck of a run he got out of turn 4, but I don't think the one machine really saw that he was coming. Gets tagged up the track and pinned head on into the fence, and that's basically going to be a day ender for the 37 machine because it looks like he probably tore up an upper on that right front.
Not only that, but that nose is completely caved in as well. It's right on board with the number 37 Tic Tac machine as he tries to work his way through. There you'll see the one come right up, make the contact, and unfortunately that will get him turned in this situation.
And that is a terrible situation to be in here, especially at the start of this race. Long night made significantly more difficult for the 37 car.
Absolutely, and that's going to be a tough break. A tough break also for Tommy Gossett because he has to serve that penalty under a green flag condition as well. So he's going to have to probably come down pit road, be the last driver on the field in order to get down on pit road and try to play it out to where he could possibly serve it once they take the green flag.
I'll tell you what, though, we do talk about how cautions breed cautions. Tommy could really get lucky here, though, at the same time. If he comes down at the right time and these guys make a mistake somewhere in the pack, as long as he gets that thing into the stall under a green flag condition, iRacing will consider that an official penalty service. So he could get lucky here, but it could also become a lot more difficult because if these guys start wrecking some more, which, I mean, we're not necessarily expecting it, but hey, anything can happen, especially at a track with this many grooves. It could get a little more difficult for Tommy.
Absolutely.
We've also already got a few cars diving down pit road, trying to take fuel. Some of the guys a little further in the back, trying to get a little bit of an opportunity on the strategy. Some cars opting to take tires as well. Chad Kibbe, one of them. As well as Carl Dodson, Dustin Motley. Handful of cars torn up from that as well. DeCiani comes down and takes 4 tires and fuel.
So I went back. Go ahead.
It makes me wonder, though, how many tires do these guys have in the box if we're taking tires this early?
It makes me wonder too, but I went back and looked at the start of that. Before they exited out of the restart zone, Gossett was inches ahead of your pole sitter of Sean Conklin. That is why the penalty was queued out for Tommy Gossett, and unfortunately is what cost him this this invaluable situation for him, as he will now have to find a way to catch his way back up to the field.
I'll tell you what, that's a scoring call that is really annoying. You know, iRacing scores that naturally, but that is Roger Pierce telling us that we are unlimited on the tire sets this week, so that makes strategy a little bit easier. Just pit every chance you get.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the best strategy called in this situation. So we'll see how this all plays out for these drivers.
Ain't taking me back to 2019, 2020 on here. Every pit stop, every caution, everybody's going to dive down and try to get those colder tires.
Absolutely. Pretty much everyone is going to do that as much as they can in order to just have the freshest tires when we go back green flag racing.
But back to the gossip penalty, though, that's a frustrating place to be in, too, especially if you're Tommy, because that's one of those penalties where it's not like you're really gaining anything by just being ever so slightly ahead, because the guy on the inside is going to get the jump regardless. But
Absolutely, and
so
especially being your teammate as well, you would probably just want to go ahead and just wait it out. I mean, you're both going to make your way through pretty easily as long as you just share a little bit of room as you enter into the corner. You should be fine.
it's not like he necessarily jumped it, but I mean, it's the rule book that we have, 36 weeks out of the year, so you got to kind of learn to live with it. But nonetheless, pace car diving down pit road here again. A little bit of false start to get this thing going, but into the Geico restart zone comes the Napa Auto Parts machine, and he gets to the gas with a great launch over second place Roger Pierce. Roger Pierce going to tuck down the line behind him, and it's going to be clean racing here into turn one.
Absolutely. Everyone's going to go now single file except the battle for third and fourth position as they'll go side by side down through the middle of turn one and two. Out of turn number two, though, is going to be Conklin and Pierce who start to try to break away from the competition. Now we got a little bit of a four-car train trying to see if they can catch up to your top two, led by Joseph Gulata in that 98.
Car ready, trying to make a little peek to the outside. The 20 machine of Alex Coffey. Not sure if he's trying to get a little bit of air to the nose of that thing to get a little bit more bite on corner X, or if he's thinking about maybe making a creep up to the outside line to see if he can't make up a couple easy spots. Tucks in line behind the 98 machine of Joseph Gulata through 1 and 2. Here we go, a little bit of
Good line now as we pick up through the field, and here comes the number 98 of Joseph Gulata trying to work his way through. Conklin gains about a car length ahead, but here comes the number 4 of Brian Johnson around the outside. He's got the big momentum as he tries to see if he can steal third away from Gulata.
Four machine of Brian Johnson working the outside line, going to take the spot coming into turn one. Gulata still staying down on the bottom line, trying to save a little bit of tire. Here comes Johnson. Finds an opening. Gulata clips the apron a little bit. It's going to help here. And now he's going to grab a little bit of side draft off the 27 machine of Roger Pierce coming into 3. He's going to go for the lead.
He is going to go for the lead. He's got Patrick Gitter also right there hot on his heels. As
he gets sideways. Around goes the 4 machine of Brian Johnson down the front straightaway through the grass. Able to save it, but a costly mistake this early in the race. Let's go hand things over to Patrick Gitter, now your race leader down the back straightaway. And here comes Gulata charging deep down in turn 3, trying to take the position back. But here we go, taking a look at the replay to see what happened here with Johnson. See him creep around the outside lane. I can't tell if he got loose. He got loose all right. Conklin slides up the track, gets into the left rear quarter panel just enough to send the 4 machine through the grass.
He certainly did, but they're still going to keep at it here as the field works their way down the back straightaway as Patrick Gitter, your new race leader, tries to hold on. Gulata right there hot on his heels as well as the field works their way through. Then you have the driver of Pierce and Irons battling for third.
These guys kind of taming down a little bit here. Pierce still trying to make the outside line work to get past Gulata. And here he comes. He's going to lick the stamp and send it through 1 and 2 and get side by side with the 21 machine of Patrick Gitter out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. Roger Pierce with a head of steam. He's going to go for the lead coming into turn 3.
How about this power move around the outside for the driver of the number 27 of Roger Pierce? Gulata follows through right there as well in second. Gitter drops back to P3 as the top 4 start to break away from the rest of the field now by about a couple of cart lengths, because here comes Peter Irons. He's one to try to get third away from Gitter.
I'll tell you though, you've seen how good of moves these guys are making on the outside line this early in the race. Really makes you wonder how much these guys are actually saving here working the low line. As you see Roger Pierce, we haven't seen moves like that all week. Everybody's been kind of consistent. You get to the outside line, it's still a fight for a lap or two. And here, this race, everybody's just kind of waving you by when you go up to the top.
Absolutely. It's like it's a little bit of give and take here as we watch a battle further back. This is the battle.
Pascalacqua.
Yeah, it would be Pascalacqua who's holding on for position here. It's outside the top 10 for sure as they try to jockey around for position. And then you almost see him going 3 wide as they enter into turn 3 and 4 a little further back.
Also, look, he's moving his way up from the tail end of the field here, back in the 16th position, going toe-to-toe with the 23 machine of John Bender. The 5 car, Matt DiCiani, we saw him on pit road with the first caution. And he's going to take the 14th spot away. Now he's looking for 13th from Josh Hoffner.
Hoffner trying to hold on, but there you see the number 5 riding high, wide, and handsome up against that wall and is going to make it work. Doing a great job of it. Look at the speed he's able to connect his way through. Beautiful drive as he works his way.
I'll tell you what, that's something we see week in and week out of DiCiani. Everything we cover, man, he's the first one to go to a different lane and the first one to try and make it stick and commit to it. Always looking for that extra 5% that the rest of these guys are giving up.
Absolutely. The only issue is if he could just make that number on the side of his number 5 Chevrolet a little bit bigger. We can see that number as he rockets down the back straightaway. Big head of steam as he sets his sight up for Josh Schaffner right there in the TWR number 33 Chevrolet. And now he will pick him up and put him down as they come off turn 4. Schaffner shuts the door on him a little bit, but he is still putting the pedal down to try to get around the rest of the competition.
Meanwhile, a little bit of a battle going slightly sideways there for Justin Levine, trying to make a move on the 54 machine of Conklin. Ends up getting a right rear quarter pound for the 20 of Alex Coffey, but we got a battle for the lead as well. Gitter going toe-to-toe right now with Roger Pierce, and Gitter with the advantage right now as he starts to pull away a little bit from the 27 Caterpillar Camry.
He's got a little bit of a run now as we see Roger Pierce trying to close the gap back up to your race leader, Patrick Gitter. Across the front straightaway, across the line he will go. He's looking to the inside, can't quite find the opening just yet. Dials it back a little bit and stays tucked up behind the number 21.
Oh, but Gitter clips the apron and gets really loose through 1 and 2, opening the door for Roger Pierce on the inside line. Here comes Pierce down into 3, going to lick the stamp and send it. And try for a slider here, and it's going to work. As you see the 27 machine start to step out a little bit in the back, but he's still got it under control enough to get the pass completed. Roger Pierce, now your leader here at lap 18. Beautiful
pass right there by Roger Pierce. And I got to say, from where we started, when we started covering especially the NIS series and the Monday night events that we used to do last year, seeing what Roger Pierce has been able to do and progress his way through has been astounding to watch. And he has definitely been a Grid Vision fan favorite amongst everyone who watches our events. And he is working his way through, holding on some of the biggest names in all of iRacing as they come off a turn 4. And he continues to try to beat Patrick Gitter and Gulata right there hot on his heels.
I've got to throw it out to all 3 of these guys up here in the top 3 right now. Pierce, Gitter, and Gulata. These are 3 guys that are heavily capable week in and week out of winning anything that they put themselves behind the wheel of. Unfortunately, the bad luck seems to find its way to bite each one of these 3 drivers at different times. You see Patrick Gitter make the pass on the outside line to get past the 27 machine. These are 3 premium talents here on the iRacing circuit.
I've been also keeping an eye on Matt DiCiani. He's already up into 8th. He's got his sights on Justin Levine for the 7th position, along with Sean Conklin, your pole sitter, in 6th. So give it a little bit more time, and we could see Matt DiCiani up towards the front of the field here pretty quickly.
Also, 2 guys that are quietly lurking themselves in for a good position here as we tick off lap 20. The one machine and Peter Irons, but also got to give it out to Paul Bergoli as well. Paul's somebody that we don't mention a whole lot, but man, he's up at the front week in and week out in that 12 machine, and an iconic paint too. I think he's been running that since heck before I started even sitting up here in the booth.
Absolutely, he's been one of the favorites here, and he is putting on a show here amongst the drivers as he tries to work his way around the outside of Peter Irons for position as they come off of turn number 2. And he will clear him just a little bit. Irons is going to fight him a little bit, but he will concede to the position for the moment as we watch battle for the race
front
lead.
Of the field. Yeah, here he comes. Here comes Roger Pierce now trying to take the position back from Gitter. A conveyor belt up here at the front of the pack here at Kansas as Roger Pierce now takes the lead back from the 21 machine at the stripe for lap 22, but Gitter going to send it back up on the outside line, try for a little bit of side draft down into 1. Pierce going to slide back up, try to cover him. Here comes Gitter, though, trying for the crossover through 1 and 2. Down the back straightaway, though, going to have to tuck back in line, use the slipstream to pull him back in to make another strike into 3. And here he comes with a deep dive down to the bottom.
Beautiful drive right here by Roger Pierce. And of course, if you think about it, for these drivers battling it out, they're trying to jockey to see who can lead a lap and who can lead the most laps, because those are some valuable bonus points here. This series, the OBE Builders Cup Series, utilizes the point system from the 1970s to the 2003 NASCAR Winston Cup Series period. So they are very critical of how the points will go, because it can swing one way or another with how a driver wins or finishes. No playoff really in the hunt. It is all about how well and how consistent you can be from the start of the season all the way to the championship at the end of the year.
Wait, you mean to tell me they use an actual point system?
An actual point
system?
system. Oh,
about this?
trouble.
Oh, just about sideways. 2 cars getting squirrely on the front straightaway, separated by what feels like a mile. John Bender having a struggle, as well as I think that is the 91 machine.
Carl Dodson.
Carl Dodson, one hell of a save out of Dodson there.
Yeah, he did a great job, recovered nicely, but he has a little bit of damage to that number 91. We'll keep an eye to see how that will affect the handling of that 91 Chevrolet, but he is back in the thick of it. He's going to think about going 3 wide as he tries to find his way around both Chris Crosby and Joseph Kazi for the 16th position.
Here we go, shaping up for a 3 wide hunt here. Sean Conklin going to send it through the middle on Paul Bergoli and Justin Levine. A little bit of a tapered 3 wide. Justin Levine getting the advantage on the back straightaway over Conklin, but Conklin going to take the spot away from Bergoli. Conklin back up into the top 5 now. I think he's going to start digging into those tires here. We saw it last night. He was super committed to the tire-saving strategy, and this time not as aggressive as he was with it last night.
Yeah, being a little bit more calmer, a little more patient here. We still got plenty of time, and we haven't even approached the pit stop cycle for these drivers. They still can run about another 20 to 30 or just 20 to 25 laps, I would have to guess, for these drivers before they consider coming down pit road at the moment. So a lot of things still up for grabs as Levine looks to the inside of Gitter. Conklin watches on in the catbird seat as they battle behind between DeCiani and Paul Bergoli.
Patrick Gitter going to hold the position over Justin Levine for now. Roger Pierce up here at the point, and here comes Gulata. Gulata diving it down to the bottom, trying to take away the lead from Roger Pierce. Not able to get the momentum, though. Pierce fighting back strong on the top line, doing his best impression of Ryan Newman. And it's going to succeed down the back straightaway, and here comes Justin Levine with a deep dive to the inside of Patrick Gitter.
Gotta be careful with how deep you want to send it into the corner, because these drivers here are trying to take as trouble right there as Gulata hits the wall off turn 4. That causes a little bit of a checkup. Gitter tries to go around the outside. Levine and Conklin will follow suit. As Conklin stays to the bottom, Gitter and Levine run right up against the outside wall.
Gitter getting a little bit loose through 1 and 2. Going to open the door for Levine to get a huge jump on him. Levine going to push him down the back straightaway and take over the 3rd position for the time being, as Conklin sends it 3 wide down into 3 yet again, this time with Gulata and Levine. And Levine's just trying to find a hole to get past the 21 machine, and here he finds it with a deep dive down to the apron. Levine side by side, neck and neck for 2nd place with Patrick Gitter. Gitter fading right now on these tires, and here comes Justin Levine with a slide job into 1, and a risky one at that.
That would have been bad if he would have slipped a little bit too much off turn 2 right there, but he's able to gather it back up and continue on. Lap traffic up ahead of Colby Jackson to put him a lap down on the racetrack here as they work their way through. And unfortunately for one driver, Darren Mullins out of the race here tonight. 35 cars out on the track. Colby Jackson, the only car 1 or more laps down as they work their way around him. Put him at 2 laps down, and that will trap Gitter behind. Tough break for Gitter as he tries to find an opening, and now is boxed in with Conklin now shutting the door on him.
Now a battle for the lead starting to loom as you see Justin Levine right behind Roger Pierce. Levine closing that advantage down to a car length separating the 2. Down the front straightaway, Roger Pierce going to lead the lap. Here comes Justin Levine diving down to the apron, trying to close off that extra 10th, and he does it. Going to bring it now down to just a stone's throw between your race leaders. Levine trying to stage up the momentum on the top line. Pierce still committing to the low line. Levine with a huge head of steam, though. He's going to dive down to the bottom here into turn 3. But Pierce going to drive out of his mirror to keep him at bay, throw a little bit of dirty air, pushing Levine up the track ever so slightly.
That was a little bit too close for comfort right here as the three Toyotas battle for position as they come across the line, and now Pierce is just trying to throw all kinds of dirty air around us. Here comes Conklin down to the bottom of the racetrack, tries to show the nose. You got Pierce in the middle, you got Levine running the outside wall, and then you got Conklin running right up against that white line on the bottom of the racetrack. Multi-crew racing at its finest. Levine tries to find the opening. Conklin has to back off to not run into the back bumper, and here comes Kidder on the top side.
And Levine with a better 3 and 4, going to tuck down to the bottom, down to the inside quarter panel. Roger Pierce through the front straightaway. It'll be a neck-and-neck fight down to 1 and 2, and I think Levine's going to try and lick it and send it, but no, he's not going to be able to because Pierce is going to hold him tight. Now Levine is tight, sliding up the track, just about losing the back end of the 19 machine, and now that's going to open the door for Sean Conklin down the back straightaway to make it stab for second.
Now, what will Levine do? Will he concede and try to rebuild some momentum again, or will he try to defend and try to go side by side as much as he can? Here comes Patrick Kidder right there behind with Joseph Gulata in the hunt as he scrapes the wall off turn number 4 again. Bergoli and Ticiani closing in as well in this hunt, the top 5 run as we have 7 cars battling for the race lead.
Levine still working the outside line, trying to find the momentum to get past the 27 machine. Sean Conklin staying committed to the bottom lane, trying to save tires and still be fast. Levine with a shove to the back of the 27 of Roger Pearson to 3. And oh, Levine with a huge wiggle in the center of 3. Just about losing it. Here comes Conklin, and this is going to be an easy pass for Conklin.
That's now going to also open the door for Patrick Kidder. Now he's stuck 3 wide. Same situation we saw Colby Jackson in, but thankfully they all 3 make it through, and that will drop Levine back to the P4 position as they come out for turn 2. Tough break right there. He's going to have to dial it back and get himself ready as we get closer to the first run of pit stops for our drivers. As they work their way off turn number 4, Levine with a big run. Will he dive to the bottom off turn 4 as big slide right there for Joseph Gulata. Slaps the wall a little bit, but continues on.
Gulata with a little bit of contact with the outside wall, going to slow the momentum for the time being. Levine now trying to get back to the bottom of the 21 machine at Gitter. But Sean Conklin sizing up Roger Pierce here for the top position.
Back straightaway they will go. A couple of side-by-side action a little further back. That's Johan Seminario and Peter Irons battling for the 8th position. They also have Chris Dennison and Alex Coffey also in the hunt. Throw in the driver of Adam Benefield, who was further back, one of the farthest starters, and now has climbed his way up into the top 15.
Pierce running up on the outside line. Here comes Sean Conklin down to the bottom, trying to make something happen. Pierce doing such a good job through 1 and 2, but it seems like the one fail point in his armor right now is that he is struggling with exit on 3 and 4. Now Pierce is going to work the bottom lane through 3 and 4. Conklin going to try and stick it up to the top. And this is going to open a huge opportunity for the 54 machine as he's going to have all the momentum in the world to carry him side by side with the 27 machine here at the stripe.
Absolutely.
And I think he's going to make the pass. Yes, he does. Just about clears him into 1. Is he going to be able to get his finish here through 1 and 2? Roger Pierce with a little bit of contact with the wall, going to slow him down. Now Sean Conklin officially your race leader as he clears down the back straightaway.
He's going to make a big run here as they go side by side once again, heading down into the middle of the corner. Conklin running the top side. Pierce trying to power his way through on the bottom of the racetrack. A little touch of the wall right there, but they will continue on racing as Conklin shuts the door as they come across the line.
Took 39 laps with Sean Conklin's back up here at the point of the race. A little bit better tire underneath him than the rest of these guys around him, just through the strategies he's been employing all week to save everything he's got. And I think it's going to be really difficult for these guys to be able to get this thing back from him. Because we know how much talent is behind the wheel of that 54 machine.
Sean Conklin knows a thing or two about wheeling these race cars as they have a little issue right here with Levine, and looks like also Gulata tagging the wall as we see Matt DiCiani trying to catch back up to Paul Bergoli for position. He's starting to taper off a little bit. In fact, he is the slowest out of the drivers, excluding Gulata, inside the top 8, but he's been one of your hard chargers after starting in 35th position, so it's safe to say that those tires are starting to fade off just a little bit with how much running he has been doing here for the last 40 laps.
And right now, this is a This is what we expect to see at Kansas. You know, a lot of great racing up here at the start of this thing. Then, you know, kind of it ebbs and flows. You go through these phases where everybody kind of gets separated now. Everybody's got what they've got. You made your bed. You got to line it for the rest of this tire cycle.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
We did have one driver come down pit row.
Oh.
That's Carl Dodson. As we watch this three-wide battle here with Joseph Kazi stuck in the middle as he tries to fire his way down to the bottom of the racetrack ahead of the number 6 machine of the first opening round winner of Brandon Pascaluca and Alex Coffey right there in the hunt as another driver exiting off the racetrack off of pit road.
Causey making quick work of both Passalacqua and Coffee here, taking the position away from the 20 machine of Coffee here through 1 and 2. Oh, gonna get a little bit tight though, working the bottom. Is he gonna be able to clear him? No, he's not. The door is still open. Alex Coffee gonna take it and run with it on the outside line down into 3, but Causey's gonna send it deep again down into the turn 3 to try and pull a slide job. Maybe he'll be a little more successful this time. Looks like it.
Joseph Kazi, though, holding strong at the moment as he tries to hold off the competition. How about that 28 or 26 machine also of Paul Hill as Peter Irons hits the wall off turn 2.
Peter Irons gets glued to the fence through 1 and 2 and loses a whole bunch of momentum. He's going to lose a whole bunch of spots off of that, too. As you see, he's now getting freight trained through 3 and 4. Does a good job getting the momentum back, though, in the Team Conti Chevrolet.
A little close right there for Joseph Kazi. He tries to get a little bit too tight right there. Peter Irons will be able to power his way back around Joseph Kazi for position. As here comes the rest of the field, but Kazi now powers his way back on the bottom. Here comes Pascaluca and Alex Coffey as they'll go 2 by 2. Pascaluca drives back up to the top side of the racetrack. Kazi trying to stay glued to that white line as best that he can. So far, not working out for him as they try to hold on, but Irons being as well, staying right up against that wall with that big momentum, keeping him edged out ahead of Kazi for the moment.
Meanwhile, the battle for 3rd place starting to heat up as well as Justin Levine dives down to the inside of Patrick Gitter. These two have been racing each other hard for the past handful of laps. Levine not able to get it down, though, to get the power down the back straightaway like he needs. Gitter doing a great job just holding defense on that outside lane, making it really difficult for Levine to be able to take anything and run with it. But that Mac Tools machine ain't gonna give up just yet, as you see Levine try to get to the outside quarter pound out of the 21 of Patrick Gitter.
Absolutely, as the field works their way through, and now nose to tail. Gulata trying to also get his hunt in, as here they go down to the bottom of the racetrack. Levine tries to drag race him down the back straightaway. Noses out ahead, but Gitter with the momentum and the drafting help from Gulata will now stay ahead of Levine for the time being. And Gitter gains the spot again and holds on as Roger Pierce starts to pull away.
Gulata also working himself into this, now up to the back bumper of Patrick Gitter here on the front straightaway, trying to look to the outside, not able to get the nose there before we get into 1. Levine still working the low line, not giving up, doing everything he can to try and get past the 21 machine, but he's got to be careful not to burn those tires off in the process. The longer you stay down there and can't use the full width of the track, the more of a disadvantage you're putting yourself at. But Gitter is also struggling. He's spent so much time on that outside line today. I can't help but to notice that those tires are probably just about shot on the 21 Chevrolet.
Absolutely, as we ride on board with Patrick Gitter, and he is really hugging that outside wall as best that he can to make sure he can get that momentum, but Levine's able to still keep pace with him as they head down the back straightaway. He's getting a lot of help from Gulata, drafting them as they work their way through. Gitter finally gets it, and here comes Paul Bergoli. He's finally got that outside working to his favor.
And Paul Bergoli really setting some quick lap times here late in the tire cycle. Good long run car it looks like he brought this week. And a really good performance out of the 12 machine as well here this evening. Back straightaway, so side by side though for 3rd place. Levine into the door and Patrick Gitter down into 3 with a deep dive, but still not able to make himself clear the 21 machine. And Justin very loose through the center of 3 and 4 there that time.
So I gotta ask Sheldon, when these drivers are working their way through, what adjustments could we see them make on this first round of pit stops here in order to help with the looseness coming out towards the end of this run?
Well, there's a lot of things you can do, a lot of tricks you can play with the pressure. Try to bring down the stagger a little bit, make sure that the tires a little more even. Let the left side do a little bit more work. It can really help with some of the looseness. At least, in the B car, that's one of the main things we go for. There's also a couple tweaks you can make with the spring perch, but you gotta be really careful with the spring perch on these next gen cars because the more you play around with those static ride heights, the more you're gonna kind of put yourself in a bad box with the diffuser, as well as potentially open the door up to be bottoming out as you make your way around this ever so slightly bumpy, aged Kansas surface.
Absolutely. We'll keep an eye on that here as they work their way through. But Sheldon, I got to say, some really good racing towards this as we watch on this battle for the third spot. Levine gets it for the moment. Brigoli really trying to power his way through to have a shot of it in his Ford Mustang. It's 1, 2, 3 of the Toyotas. And then you have that battle for fourth with the Chevrolet and the Mustang of Brigoli and Gitter. Throw in also Joseph Gulata in 6th.
And right now, the 12 machine of Paul Bergoli going to get the advantage over Patrick Gitter down into 3 and 4, working the outside line where we've seen Gitter all race being able to defend. Now he's stuck there on the bottom in that Fortis Motorsports Chevrolet and really struggling to be able to hold off a fight against these guys, but doing the best he can. As you see Bergoli kind of get washed up a little bit coming out of 3 and 4.
Washed up right here. This opens the door for Brigoli and Gulata to try to get a run here as Gitter is starting to fade off just a little bit, not too much, just enough to where it could cause some problems for him as we progress further into this run. We are approaching that first round of pit stops as Gitter gets a little bit loose. That's going to cause an issue. He'll drop back behind Paul Bergoli for the time being as Gulata follows through. Further back, we see some drivers now just starting to settle in here before that first round of pit stops as Matt DiCiani trying to battle for position once again.
Well, a little bit of a battle right now shaking up. It's a 3 machine. Done back straight away on the outside of the 23. Give me a second to get my names right here.
That's Luke Christian and Chad Kibbe and John Binder right there in position, battling around that 23rd position.
Yeah, Chad Kibbe in the 23 machine, trying to make something happen against the 3 of Luke Christian. It's weird seeing Luke Christian driving a car that, a car with any color aside from black and purple, by the way. Luke Christian getting the fence and Chad Kibbe getting it even worse. Here comes John Binder diving it down to the bottom in the Sun Drop Chevrolet. But with a 4-second advantage right now, in a week where we've seen people struggle to get more than a 5/10 of a second lead, Sean Conklin walking away from his teammates, Roger Pierce and Justin Levine, by a long shot here at Kansas Speedway.
Well, think of this as well, Sheldon. Right now, his last lap time was a 32.0. Everyone else is in a 32.1 to a 32.3. He just finally now ran a 32.1. Everyone else is still running 32.2s, 32.1s, 32.4s, 32.3s, and etc. So we're really seeing a major difference of how well Sean has been conserving his tires. And with a 4-second lead, he could stretch that out further and further with that tire conservation that we so desperately see and need to utilize when it comes to racing these next-gen cars.
Well, man, Sean Conklin, every week he's, we home him up, we talk about him, and for good reason, though. It's performances like this. It seems like everything that we get to cover him in the booth, he's typically doing what we're seeing right now. He's just an incredible young talent here on the iRacing service. And, speaking of young talents, how would you be interested in a young driver with 19 starts, 7 wins, 13 top 5s, and 17 top 10s?
I would say that would be one of the next big superstars here as Thomas Mullins I suppose Justin Culata is having some issues right there, but let's talk a little bit about Thomas Mullins. What do you got to say about him, Sean, or about that?
Well, this year he's moved himself up a division. He is running at Millbridge Speedway in an outlaw wing cart, as well as Wake County Speedway in a bandolero. 5 starts at Wake County, and his worst finish this season so far is second place. Out of the 5 starts, he also has 1 win and 4 second-place finishes. Millbridge Speedway, he's got 1 heat race win this season, is sitting 6 in points, just 7 races into the season. And if you're wanting to find out more about this young man, be sure to visit thomasmullinsracing.com, as well as check him out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search Thomas Mullins Racing.
Sean Conklin knows a thing or two about wheeling and dealing when it comes to racing also as well. I mean, we see him racing not just here in the virtual world, but really doing a great effort when it comes to running in champ buggies, which is basically a caged go-kart. And he's been finishing, last year in 2024, he finished inside the top 5 in his division in his championship. So really a stellar driver, definitely a future driver we will see competing in some of the highest forms of motor racing.
Oh, while we're throwing out accolades, man, how about somebody that we haven't had the opportunity to call this year because of scheduling lineups, but somebody that won literally everything last year? As we look at, I do believe that is Thomas Mullins Bandolero right there, the old 10 machine.
Gotta say, that is a car we need to have on iRacing. We have the Legends cars. It's time to bring the Bandoleros.
Oh, we need bandos. We absolutely need them. Also, braking up here at the front of the pack, Patrick Gitter on pit road.
And we're starting to see a lot of pit stops happening. Tommy Gossett just came down pit road. Matt DiCiani, Joseph Gulata. We also saw the driver of Johan Seminario coming down pit road, as well as several others. Colby Jackson received a penalty on pit road as he reverses into his pit box, missing it. Tough break right there as Sean Conklin continues to lead. But how about Paul Bergoli?
Colby is still not in his box.
He is just a tough day, getting worse and worse for Colby.
Oh, man. Still not able to find it. Colby Jackson just struggling right now. He overshot it by a long shot, and he's having to creep his way backwards. I mean, at that point, wouldn't it just be easier to drive around an extra lap and then come in?
It would be, as Roger Pierce comes down pit road. Sean Conklin also coming down pit road. New race leader Paul Bergoli. He'll get those 5 bonus points for him for leading a lap.
Paul Bergoli, man, putting on a good run. This could be somebody that could be real. If he finds the speed and the momentum midway through the season, that could be somebody that you really see work himself into a possibility to bring home the championship this year.
Absolutely.
Always crafty.
Very crafty indeed, and he'll lead that lap, and he'll come down pit road as trouble. Levine gets tagged by Chris Vincent, as well as several others as they come off turn 4. Vincent will lead that lap. Levine's stuck there in second, but he's got a little bit of damage there to his number 19 Mack Tools Toyota.
That's not what you want to see right now if you're Justin. You want to maximize on time as much as you can, especially staying out late here. Also, Joseph Causey through the pit cycle, working himself up into the 3rd position, but here's the replay of what happened between Levine and Vincent.
Yeah, Vincent goes to the bottom, 3 wide here. Watch as how tightly Chris gets off corner exit right here. He'll come up the track, tap, and Levine into the wall, and Levine and Causey come down pit road, and Levine, I think, spun entering into his pit box.
Oh, no.
Oh, if we can get a look at his entrance into pit road.
He lost a lot of time.
He certainly did. That's going to be difficult for him to regain.
Well, I can tell you we're going to see 2 things here. Levine potentially spin and Causey completely locked up on the brakes like he does every week.
Joseph Causey receiving a penalty for speeding on pit entrance.
Oh.
That's going to cost him.
Well, the 1 sim, it's not a good night to be 1 sim, apparently.
It is not, as Derek Heitman, your new race leader.
That's somebody I was expecting to hear a little more noise from this evening. Heitman opting to be quiet this evening here at Kansas Speedway, which is not what we're used to seeing out of the 76 Bridgestone machine.
Absolutely.
I think he's experimenting here.
Well, this is going to be interesting to talk about, but Matt DiCiani will be your new race leader. He is already pitted about 20 laps ago. So he will be your new race leader once Derek Heitman comes down pit road, which he is now on. So Matt DeCiani with the pit strategy, giving him the opportunity to take over the race lead and lead a few laps here. Carl Dotson will take second. Sean Conklin is about 11 seconds back from your race leader as we take a look at the incident of Justin Levine coming down pit road.
And that's what I was talking about, in the pre-race too. You get down to pit road here, and it's such a harsh transition. Most tracks we go to, there's Kazi with his traditional brake lockup getting into pit road, and I guess he just timed it wrong this week. But you get down into pit road here, it's hard to really explain it, but most tracks that we go to, you get a nice flat fall off once you get to the tri-oval. Here at Kansas, the banking in the tri-oval is a little bit deeper than that of the other tracks we go to. And you come out of turn 4 here, and it's just like the banking is trying to lock you out because the apron itself is so much flatter than you'd be expecting, and it's so difficult to get it down there. And once you get into it and start downshifting everything, the back end shatters on you, and it'll rip you around quicker than you can expect.
It really will, but Matt DeCiani with some great strategy call, pitting very early, is now going to be your race leader. Carl Dotson, also one of those drivers who pitted early as well, sitting in second, but he's got Sean Conklin all over his back bumper right now, so that's going to be a little bit of a trouble right now to see if he can overcome it. But for DeCiani, a 10-second advantage.
Yeah, and if you're DeCiani for the next handful of laps, the only thing you're praying for is a yellow.
Yeah, absolutely. To rebalance everyone, get everyone on the same set of tires here. As long as you're not the caution as you negotiate the lap traffic, or the drivers who have fresher tires getting around you to unlap themselves don't cause too much of a problem.
Conklin now up to second in the Napa Auto Parts Camry. A little bit further back at Patrick Gitter, and there's Roger Pierce sitting in the 7th place position right now.
Practically have a top 5 for the most part here with DeCiani, Paul Hill, and Carl Dotson inside the top 5 for the first time here tonight. Sean Conklin and Joseph Gulata also returning to the top 5. But yeah, Paul Hill, great drive for him, sitting comfortably in 3rd.
Paul Hill, that's another crafty driver that we don't really talk about as much as I feel like as much as either we should or we will in the future. Another one of those guys that finds himself in the top 5, and if you look at the stickers on that machine, the CFM Camry Chevrolet, it's a new team. Joseph Gulata, Evan Say, and a handful of others on board with that organization. And with big plans here in the sim racing world, it'll be interesting to see what these guys bring to the table, not only in the Open Series, but as well as the leagues that we cover. Because it feels like every week we're covering a handful of these guys.
Yeah, that's the Black Cat Racing organization of Paul Hill, as well as Tyler Hunter, and then, of course, Joseph Gulata, who we touched on as being some of the drivers a part of that organization that are competing here tonight.
Yeah, those guys are absolutely cutthroat week in and week out, not afraid to throw a bumper when they need to. As we're sitting here on lap 74, Matt DeCiani up here at the point. We're going to take ourselves a quick little break, and we'll be right back to cover you to the checkered flag here on the grid.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And welcome back to the OB Builders Cup Series live from Kansas Speedway on Grid Vision. 79 laps on the board. Matt DeCiani, your race leader on older tires by 7 seconds over second place. Sean Conklin, Joseph Gulata also working a good position right now, sitting in the third position. Followed by Paul Hill in fourth and Patrick Gitter in fifth.
Really good run right now. We did have a couple of retirements happen under the break. Chris Crosby and Dustin Motley out of the race. So lost 3 drivers so far. We have still 33 drivers out on the track. A total of 26, though, on the lead lap as Conklin and Gulata trying to bear down on Matt DeCiani. They're 6 seconds behind, but with these 3 drivers, or these 2 drivers of Gulata and Conklin battling for position, that's only going to be a help for the driver of Matt DeCiani, but it looks like Gulata is going to pull away from Conklin for the moment as we take a look at what happened to Mr. Motley.
Yeah, it's real loose. Trying to come down to pit road, spins it out up across the track, tank slaps it against the wall, and brings the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet down through the grass.
Surprised no caution from that one.
It looked like he was all on his lonesome, so honestly, a lucky break, but not the lucky break that Matt DeCiani was probably wanting. Because you know that he's going to want to get lucky and get a caution here because he's going to have to pit earlier than the rest of these guys.
Yeah, just a little bit here as the field works their way down the back straightaway. Currently, the gap of Matt DeCiani is 5.8 seconds. Gulata is really closing that gap along with Sean Conklin, but I think Conklin is going to take a step back a little bit here, try to conserve those tires to just continue to do what he's been doing all night long as it is, as Carl Dotson's also already coming down pit road for his second stop.
Yeah, a bit of an early pit stop here for the 91 machine of Dodson, but
DeCiani should be coming down pit road here not too much longer.
well, I think DeCiani's going to try and keep that thing out until she runs out.
Well, I mean, you got to remember, when everyone else was starting to come down pit road, DeCiani had about 21 laps, so he's got about another 20 before he has to come down pit road at minimum.
Watch DeCiani right now working the outside line. Still 182 miles an hour into turn 3 here. Long miss for the days of us going about 206 at Kansas Speedway, but got what we got for now. Right on board with the 4 machine here, down into 1 and 2. Doesn't look like right up against the fence. Doesn't look like he's having to fight it as much as a lot of these other guys are running the outside line this late into a tire run. So a good balance. 5 machine here this evening at Kansas.
Absolutely. Took a lot of hard work and effort with updating the setup, making adjustments as needed, and you gotta love it as we hop on the gyro crank cam right here as he is locked in and focused as they work their way through.
Right now, still a battle, though, forming for second place. Gulata and Sean Conklin still competing over who's second best at the moment. Conklin going to dive it down to the bottom of the track here through 1 and 2. They were side by side about a half a lap ago. Is it going to happen again this time? Gulata still working the outside line, though, going to use the momentum to pull him down the back straightaway and draw a little bit of a bead on the 54 machine behind him.
Just a little bit of a bead right now as they work their way through, and Matt DeCiani coming down pit road And this will hand the race lead over to Joseph Gulata.
Gulata now separated by not even a car length. Him and Sean Conklin going toe-to-toe here at Kansas, 87 laps into the event. Gulata up to the top of the hill. Conklin still looking low, trying to conserve those tires the best he can. That's what worked for him the other night in NIS, and it's going to probably work for him here again tonight. Now they're side by side down into 3. Sean Conklin dives it deep down into turn 3 with Gulata still working the middle lane, trying to keep him pinched down. Got to turn 4.
He's got a little help right there from one of his teammates, Roger Pierce, who is trying to work his way around the circuit right now. Or no, that's a 33 machine. Apologize. Tommy Gossett, who is one of the first drivers 1 lap down, who's trying to get back onto the lead lap, but he's going to need a little bit of help here as he sits there in the catbird seat.
And Gossett is trying to do anything he can to get back on the lead lap after that earlier penalty knocked him a lap down. Hasn't been able to get lucky enough to get a caution, even though he is in prime lucky dog position right now, right behind your race leaders, first car lap down. But it doesn't look like he's really want to put a dog in this fight, even though he is lined up behind his teammate.
He's going to try to follow suit right now as Conklin, race leader once again here, as he tries to continue to show his dominance and speed in that number 54 Napa Toyota Camry. We see Gulata trying to hold on as best that he can, as here comes Tommy Gossett in the Caterpillar, working his way to the bottom.
Tommy Gossett now getting past, or trying to get past the 98 machine of Joseph Gulata, going to do so with ease, using the flat of the track to his advantage, shortening up the lap. Now, 1 car separating Tommy Gossett from the lead lap, but, I mean, hell, at this point, Tommy can just ride back there behind that 54 machine and play a little bit of blocker car, maybe.
And that's going to now open up the door for a couple of other drivers to come into the picture here, as Paul Hill and Roger Pierce are starting to close back up. They are about 2 seconds behind, but they are closing in as here comes Pierce to the bottom. Paul Hill trying to hold on as Pierce gets the momentum on the bottom of the racetrack, crosses the line, will take the 4th spot. Let's see if he can clear him heading into the corner. Johan Seminario right there as well as these two battle.
Roger Pierce going to take the position away from Paul Hill out of turn 2. Good head of steam down the back straightaway. 91 laps on the board right now. Joseph Gulata conceding another spot up here to another lap machine of Corey Moore. I'd say that's a bit of a frustrating spot to be in, too, when you start getting passed by lap cars late into a tire stint.
It really is, and it's going to be
on the list of.
Go ahead.
It's on the list of my top 10 favorite things on the iRacing service, but it's something that you got to deal with.
I mean,
Just racing.
It is, and that's what every single driver goes through when it comes to racing with dealing with lap traffic. No matter what the situation is, you're going to have to deal with it. It's just how you go about it as cautiously, but also as quickly as possible.
Right now, looking at Justin Levine, a little bit of smoke on the front straightaway. Green flag still in the air. Not sure what the cause of that smoke was.
Might be Tyler Hunter hitting the brakes coming down pit road for him in that number 48 U.S. Army Chevrolet, possibly. He will rejoin the track, but so far we are still green flag racing here as we are about 80 laps away from the checkered flag.
Conklin now to 2.2 second advantage over second place Joseph Gulata. Navigator riding back 3.5 seconds back in third place. Going toe-to-toe right now, though, with Roger Pierce through 1 and 2.
Matt DeCiani, of course, trying to get himself back on the lead lap after his pit stop situation here. He is currently trying to catch back up to Tommy Gossett, who is just about a second and a half up the road from him. So that's going to be an interesting situation to see what Matt DeCiani can do as we watch this battle between Gitter, Pierce, Paul Hill, and Johan Seminario. Adam Benefiel also right there in the mix with Paul Bergoli as Pierce finally clears them on turn 2.
Pretty stout hot rod here this evening. The Ryko boys, as you can see, have brought really good hot rods with them to the Kansas Speedway this week. Basically dominating everything that they've touched since we dropped the green flag Monday night. Oh, Dr. Ben Kyron probably feeling pretty good up there right now, watching his guys lock up a handful of positions up here in the top 10 this evening. Look at Joseph Gulata, strong performance out of him this evening too, still sitting in the second place. Here's third, Gitter holding on in fourth. The top five, we've seen a couple moves and changes here, but more or less business as usual here this evening.
As usual, these drivers are trying to work their way through around the circuit. And Seminario under pressure here from Benefield. Down Benefield and that Team Conti Chevrolet trying to put the pressure on him as those two work together. So far, not going to work out as those two in the Team Conti machines try to work their way off corner exit and go single file and try to get around the driver of Paul Hill for position.
Is that pressure pushing down on me, or is it pushing down on you?
It's pushing down on Paul Hill right now.
Ah, there we go. Paul Hill under pressure. One man not under pressure right now. The Napa Auto Parts Camry of Sean Conklin as he wheels away a 3.6 second advantage over second place Joseph Gulata. Matt DiCiani getting by him, though, getting his lap back here. Once the pit cycles out for a little bit, that 5 machine going to be back at the front so long as he did everything right. So we see Gulata now starting to fall under fire to the 27 machine of Roger Pierce. Pierce going to work that outside line from 1 and 2, get the advantage on the back straightaway and clear the 98 machine of Gulata. Gulata just hurting right now in those tires.
He certainly is. Really tough break right now for Gulata as he's trying to hold on, but just those tires fading and fading further and further into this run is going to cost him detrimentally for his position here. So he's got to have to come down Pips Road here pretty soon if he wants to make it through.
Tell you what, maybe hurting a little bit on this run right now, but you got to feel good if you're Joseph Gulata, right?
I would say so. A
Here.
really strong run.
Up here fighting and clawing with some of the biggest names in the iRacing Open, I mean, at least the A Open side of things. New team, new group of guys working with them, and putting together fast cars and good performances every week.
Absolutely, and I have to say I look forward to seeing what he can do the rest of the season. I mean, a lot of racing still to go. I mean, we started off at Talladega. We're going to wrap up the season here in Phoenix at the end of the year. A lot of great racing still to go for the next, I would say 26 weeks, 25 weeks now for these drivers.
We got a way to go, that's for sure.
The thing is, we don't have a short time to get there because these drivers here are going to really let it go and watch them work their way through. And we're going to see some amazing battles throughout the field for the rest of 2025 for the OB Cup Series as they work their way around the circuit. Once again, we see the driver of Paul Hill holding strong, trying to keep up with Adam Benefield. Seminario right there as well, trying to find his pit footing to get a position ahead.
Benefield doing what he does best. I call it every week. That 83 machine, we don't talk about him the first two-thirds of the race. We start to get down to crunch time, and that 83 machine is just on rails now, working himself up in 4th position, getting past Patrick Gitter into 1 and 2. Just a very conservative driver and knows to strike when it matters most. And that's, I've raced against Adam Benefield a lot throughout the years. Awesome. I think I've seen him on about 2 or 3 different teams throughout the years, but he's really found something strong here with Team Conti and really putting together good performances week in and week out. Now he's making moves, getting past Joseph Gulata now into the 3rd spot. As a good long-run driver every week.
He likes to try to do this last to first challenge, I have to say, as trouble for Peter Irons, penalty on pit road entrance. And
he's going to go home.
Nope, he's going to just tow it to his pit box by the looks of it.
Yeah.
So, tough break there for Peter Irons, who was having a really good run overall. I mean, he was running consistently inside the top 10, but you know what that means. We're now getting ready for our next round of pit stops for our drivers.
And right now, looking at Joseph Gulata going toe-to-toe with Patrick Gitter out of 1 and 2. Patrick Gitter using that outside line momentum to try and fend it off down into 3. Galata sticking down to the bottom. Oh, they're going to get tight coming out of 4, but no contact between the two. Patrick Gitter's going to get the spot, though.
He's going to hold on for position for the time being as Seminario and Bergoli are going to battle for the 7th spot. You have Levine trying to power his way back through the field after his pit road mishaps. As Schaffner gets around Binder for position. Pascaluca gets into the top 10, getting around Alex Coffey for position. And Hill gets around the driver of Gulata, who is, I think, thinking about coming down pit road.
Yes, he is.
Let's see if he can
Good,
make it clean.
Entry so far. Gets to the brakes. Looks like he gets in.
He does it. No speeding on pit entrance for the CFM Performance Chevrolet.
The question is, who's going to follow him in here? Sean Conklin almost up to 7 seconds now for Roger Pierce.
As here comes Adam Benefield, though. He's going to dive to the bottom. The closer coming into play here as he comes off turn 4 as Pierce hits the wall.
Yeah, Pierce going to tag the fence a little bit out of 4. Going to open up the door, the window of opportunity for Benefield through the front straightaway. Benefield down to the flat. Working the low line, or the middle groove right now through 1 and 2. It looks like he's in position to pull a slider out at 2 if he can just keep the momentum up. And yes, he does. Adam Benefield now 2nd place.
I'm curious to see if some of these drivers are going to try to stretch it out to where this would be their final pit stop. We know they can make about 50, maybe pushing it 60 laps for some of these drivers. Currently right now, Paul Hill has been running out there for 52 laps. So I'm wondering if they're going to try to stretch it to where they can make it on just one more pit stop.
It's possible. Right now, I'm curious about the lap times. Check and see what Benefield ran here. Last lap of 31.9 while he was making the pass. And Conklin with a 31.7. So this guy's in the ballpark with each other on pace here. 31.845 for Sean Conklin that lap. And about equal across the board here again.
Your top 5 is pretty much consistent. Your top 2 are running almost identical lap times. 3rd, 4th, and 5th are running similar lap times as well. Then it tapers off with Paul Hill, who's been out a little bit longer than the drivers inside the top 5. Then it kind of goes back to the same lap times in and amongst the drivers inside the top 10.
Oh, hard on the fence for Paul Bergoli out of turn 4.
Yeah, it's going to cause a big run for some of these drivers here, as here comes Paul Hill. Even with the older tires, he's still right there hot on the heels of Bergoli as the two Pauls battle it out. Seminario closing in, Justin Levine trying to also pick up some pace. He's picked up a couple of tenths on this battle for the 5th spot.
But now focusing our eyes back up to your race leader, who's up to a 7.5 second advantage over Adam Benefield. As Sean Conklin paces the field here on a Sunday drive with a 7-second advantage, we're going to take a quick break to a commercial and a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back to cover this thing to the finish.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And welcome back to the OB Builders Cup Series live on Grid Vision. 118 laps tipped off the board here. Sean Conklin with a 7.7 second advantage over second place Adam Benefield. Roger Pierce riding it out in third place. 8.7 seconds back from your leader with Patrick Gitter in fourth and Paul Bergoli rounding out your top five.
Sixth position is Paul Hill, followed by Justin Levine in seventh. As we got a replay to take a look. Chris Venison, Alex Coffey, and Brandon Pascaluca, your top 10 as Matt DiCiani. Let's see what's going on with him. Ooh, a little bit of a bobble right there, and boop, into the grass.
A little bit of a slide up the track in front of the 12 machine of oh my lord, my brain, Feltman. There we go.
Yeah, Feltman right there, but hey, great recovery right there as big slide for the 26 of Paul Hill and Johan Seminario. Two penalties for the price of one.
Yeah. You can't have mistakes like that here.
No, you cannot. Another retirement has happened. Tyler Hunter takes it behind the wall here tonight to end his run. But for Johan Seminario and Paul Hill, that ends their chances of a top 10 unless they get a caution in the late stages of the race.
They're pretty tame all the way through the field here.
Absolutely. As number 6, your race winner from Talladega, Brandon Pascaluca, coming down pit road.
Diving it down for those 4 tires and splash or a full tank of Sunoco racing fuel here. Let's get the stop that carries these guys to the finish. We set our eyes on Benefield there in second. There's Roger Pierce looming in the back. Sitting there in third. Gitter. I mean, good runs from all these guys up here, especially good run for Paul Bergoli, too. I feel like he's hitting above his weight class here. So we got a car around on the front straightaway, the 20 machine. Caution out, and this is going to change everything.
Oh my goodness, the 91 also involved with this one as well of Carl Dodson. So that's something we were not expecting. Was it the same situation that might have happened at the opening stages of the race? Here comes the 20 down to the bottom. Oh no, just Dodson loses it.
He caught the apron wrong. He caught that apron, he got bound up in between the flat and the banking, and the back end comes around. You know, when you're in a situation like that, you're stuffing a whole bunch of air underneath the car that, you know, you never have there at any point in the run. And it just makes it a little more snappy. See, he gets onto the sidewall of the tires right there as he starts to taper down a little bit, and it just rips the car right around from him.
That is the first time I've ever seen that happen in the sim before, where the car snaps like that on that transition from banking to the flats.
You haven't been watching me enough, then.
Well, I mean, yeah, that is true. And here is Conklin. We're on board with him. And he will lead the field down pit road. Everybody coming down to top off and get some fresh Goodyear tires.
You know what I was literally just about to mention, right as that caution was coming out, was this is a long run, the longest green flag run many of these guys have probably ran all week. And you come here to Kansas, it's a track where you got a lot of pace and everything, you know, it feels so easy to drive at the beginning of the run, but you get into the midsection to the late section on the tires and you've got, you know, 100 and some odd laps of green flag racing. Somebody's going to make a mistake that they won't normally make. Something's going to happen that you haven't seen before. You know, it's just the small little things that you don't even think about. It compounds, and, you know, these guys get so deep into a rhythm and so kind of dissociated sometimes running these races. Somebody's going to, you know, step the tire the wrong way, and it's not going to come back for them. And that's what you just saw right there.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, that will end Carl Dodson's night. He has taken it behind the wall. One penalty given out for Randy Belk as Sean Conklin, Benefield, Pierce, Levine, and Vincent, your top 5 off pit road.
I'll tell you what's going to be interesting now, too, is these guys are going to be bunched up. Benefield, who crawled his way through the field to get up to the second place spot where he's sitting right now on an even set in a matched ground with Sean Conklin. Going to be really interesting to see what the 83 machine's capable of here. But you've also got Roger Ears Pierce sitting there in 3rd place and Lightning Levine sitting in 4th. 2 really good short run drivers. It's not going to be an easy one for Sean Conklin if he's going to take this trophy home tonight.
Absolutely. It's going to be a hard fight here in the closing stages. We are just going to be about 50 laps to go in the race as a lot of drivers are going to take the wave around to get back onto the lead lap or to get one of their laps back. We had a couple of drivers that were 2 or more laps down, such as Johan Seminario, as we are about to take the green flag at this time by.
Sean Conklin leading the cars around the 1.5 mile facility of Kansas Speedway down here on the bottom.
Penalty for Chad Kibbe as well in the 21 machine.
That's rough. Good news, though, viewers at home. Lights are out on the iRacing pace car as we work ourselves into turns 3 and 4 down the back straightaway right now. Also, who was lucky dog that time?
That I don't know.
Was it Tommy?
I don't think it was Tommy. I think it
No,
might
it was
have.
not.
It could have been maybe Chad Kibbe.
Well,
Chad Kibbe getting the EOL for being the first car 1 lap down, so 20 cars on the lead lap. Joseph Kazi, the first car 1 lap down as we get set to go back racing.
and the green flag is out. We are back underway. Sean Conklin getting to the gas before the rest of the field here down to the start-finish line. Good clean break off from him and Benefield. No worry from Benefield for the time being, as now Roger Pierce lines himself up into the mirror of the Napa Auto Parts Camry into turn 1.
Chris Vincent slides up to P3, Justin Levine 4th, and Benefield finally drops back and finds an opening in the 5th spot as he has to jockey with drivers such as Paul Bergoli and Derek Heitman. Here comes Vincent, though, with a big run in that position, and Bergoli already taking it to the top along with Matt DiCiani. This is going to be exciting to see.
Paul Bergoli trying to make something work on the outside of Adam Benefield here on the front straightaway. Not able to find the momentum, though. They're going to be dead even down to 3 and 4. I think the benefit, though, is going to go to the 12 machine. Yes, it does. Paul Bergoli getting the momentum down from the middle lane through 1 and 2. Going to take the spot away from Benefield on the backstretch, but Benefield's still going to try and claw back on the inside.
Benefield's going to try to fight his way through, but Bergoli power moves now, drops down to the bottom of the racetrack as here comes DiCiani with a head of steam. Remember, he started in the 35th position when he had to do a restart in this situation. Now look at him. He's got plenty more track position, a lot less cars to pass, and he is on the move up through the field as he tries to catch back up and have a shot of the race lead.
Working the outside line now on Carr. Down the back straightaway, going to clear the 25 machine of Carr. Down to 3. Now working on Mullins. To 3 and 4. And a really good run here. Going to have the momentum, but nowhere to go with it just yet. Mullins still a little bit separated from him as we look a little bit further back. There's the 4 machine after a unfortunate snap down into the grass earlier, recovering himself up just around the top 10 here in 11th position. Brian Johnson.
Watch out for Patrick Gitter. He's going to go high, wide enhancement, take him 3 wide, not once, but twice. Maybe looking for that 3rd time if he gets stuck behind DiCiani.
And if DiCiani was tapered down just a little bit, Gitter would have had DiCiani coming into the corner too. But Patrick Gitter going to pass DiCiani here out of 3 and 4. One hell of a ride for the 21 machine, working up against the fence now from 14th to 8th in 1 lap here at Kansas Speedway.
He is on the charge here along with Colby Jackson. Unfortunately for Colby, he is multiple laps down, so that's going to not be really to any benefit, but good to see that that car is still up to race pace possibly, so it's more of a what could have been for that number 37 here tonight.
I got to give Colby Jackson a huge bit of credit, though. Anybody else would have hit that Alt F4 combo after the first thing that happened to him tonight, and he's had 2 very... Oh, we get a car around to the front straightaway. Huge crash into turn 1.
That's Corey Moore around.
It looks like Schaffner was involved too. Oh, and more. That's going to be a day under there. Look at the crab walk on that
Yeah.
machine as he brings it off the fence.
What happened here? And is it the same thing that we saw similar at the start of the race? It looks like.
Well, yeah, basically what happened there was the 50 machine of Schaffner got really close with Johan Seminario coming out of turn 4. He fades it up the track to avoid hitting Seminario. Then he gets into the door of the 42 machine ever so slightly, freaks out, goes back down, makes contact, and it's kind of just a ping pong effect here.
I like
It's
the
kind of
ping
bounced
pong
off
effect.
each other.
Oh, good. Joseph Kazi also getting some damage from that as well.
Not what the DeWalt Power Tools machine wanted to see this evening.
Absolutely not. Tough break there for those several drivers in this stage of the race. And now the question is going to be, do you come down and pit for tires, or do you stay out for the track position?
Well, I can tell you one thing. Tires ain't going out of fashion here this evening with unlimited sets on pit road. So if you're sitting there around anybody but Sean Conklin,
We
you
got
wanna
a
come
split.
down and fire them on. That's a majority of the field from about, what, 4th place on back going to dive down pit road here.
You got maybe about 4 cars staying out on the racetrack. We'll wait officially once everyone comes down pit road. But I would have to say 4 drivers coming down or staying on the racetrack of Conklin, Pierce, Vincent, Bergoli. Looks like the 26 machine of Paul Hill is trying to get his lap back, so he will be the lucky dog. And then I believe Brian Johnson and Matt DeCiani. DeCiani wins the race off pit road. I think he took a 2-tire stop. Yes, he did, by the looks of the times.
Tell you what, there's no reason not to. If you're DeCiani, you know you're fast. You know you only have a few laps on those left sides. Why not come down and gamble?
I mean, that's time to do it right now. You know you have that speed to carry you on the outside, and you know nobody really goes to the outside as quickly as you do.
Yeah. Also, respond to chat there. Kelly Coffee, thanks for joining. Alex has put together a really good run this evening.
Been
And,
really
sitting-
consistent.
It's been absolutely consistent all race, just sitting in that top 10 bracket. Good run for him, especially in a field as strong and tightly knit on pace as this group is here tonight. Right now, the dominator has been Sean Conklin. He's up here in the lead. He's got a 3-car buffer behind him. But problem is, these other guys just outside of that, all on fresher stuff. This is going to be an interesting one for Roger Pierce and Sean Conklin to kind of try and tiptoe around. See the lights are out on the iRacing pace cars. We make our way down to the back straightaway last time before the green flag comes back out to hopefully finish off this amazing event we've had here at Kansas Speedway.
42 laps to go for your drivers. It's going to be a good one to see here. Who can survive it? Who can give the strategy? And if anyone can challenge Sean Conklin for the race win tonight.
It's going to be a difficult one still, though, even though he's on just, older tires. I mean, Sean Conklin is still one of the most talented drivers in the field here this evening, and pretty scrappy when it comes to having to play defense. So it's going to be interesting to see the moves coming out of the Napa Auto Parts Camry here from Kansas.
10 laps is the difference between the top 4 and Matt DeCiani and Levine.
And working their way into the Geico restart zone here. Sean Conklin quick to the gas. Green flag out on the speedway. As you see Barney waving the flag for us one more time here. Side by side down to 1 and 2. Chris Vincent gets the inside on Roger Pierce. Pierce working the top lane. With a little bit of help from Paul Bergoli.
DeCiani did not get a good start. He's gathering it back up, but he is losing valuable seconds there as they work their way on the outside. Big run. Derek Heitman, though, drops back a little bit as here comes Roger Pierce around the outside to take over the race lead.
And lap 135, race lead, handing over to Roger Pierce as he takes a power move to get past Sean Conklin. Conklin now stuck 3 wide with Vincent and Bergoli down in 1 and 2. How's it going to work out for him? Working the middle lane, going to have a little bit more momentum over Vincent in the 33 machine, but still going to be matched for speed with 12 of Bergoli as Bergoli uses the momentum to pull him around the outside, and he's going to take over the second spot for now.
Levine gives a little bit of a push right there to Conklin. DeCiani stuck on the bottom of the racetrack here, as here comes Levine running the top side of the racetrack, and here comes Bergoli down to the bottom to try to catch up to Roger Pierce.
We are taking lap 136. Roger Pierce, your race leader. Paul Bergoli in second. 2 car lengths back. Justin Levine on fresh tires, working the outside line behind Bergoli, trying to find a way through the traffic to get up to his teammate to make the pass here late in the race.
Great racing here amongst the drivers inside the top 5. DeCiani trying to find his opening around Sean Conklin with the older tires. And that's what's going to be critical to see how this all plays out. Here comes Patrick Gitter right there in the background, trying to find his opening around the competition as he and Adam Benefield battle for position.
Down to 1 and 2. Paul Bergoli all over the back bumper. Roger Pierce here for the lead. As we look at Patrick Gitter working on that outside line, though, you see him make up so much track position here. Now he's on fresher tires, and a handful of these guys up at the point of this thing. That 21 machine, man, that could be the difference maker here tonight if he can get through the traffic.
He's had one of the best runs running that outside line besides Matt DeCiani, who's only on a 2-tire stop, which is not seem to be working out for him right now. As here comes Levine around Paul Bergoli for second.
Justin Levine working the outside line in a 1, trying to get past the 12 machine for second place. Wrapping it up against the fence right behind Roger Pierce. Lightning Levine going to make the move out of turn 2. He's going to clear and take second spot.
Beautiful job right here, but how about Gitter? He'll now go to the bottom of the racetrack to get around Bergoli side by side, heading into the corner, and he will try and clear that number 12 Ford Mustang as here comes Gulata and company as they come off of turn 4.
Straightaway now, lap 139 on the boards. Justin Levine on fresher tires, trying to hunt down his Ryco teammate to take the position. Roger Pierce working the outside line. Levine working the center, trying to keep a little bit of life left in those tires, trying to save just ever so slightly and get clean air to the nose of the machine. Not able to close just yet as we look a bit further back. Paul Bergoli now going to shoot to the outside to try and take the position back from Patrick Gitter, but not going to be able to get it. Loses the momentum a little bit. Now he's under fire from the 5 machine of DeCiani as DeCiani takes the flat on the tri-oval, and he's going to try for a slider down into 1 and 2.
He's going to try to get up in front of Paul Bergoli as he drag races the driver of Patrick Gitter off of turn number 2. He clears Bergoli. Bergoli tries to get the run, but is not close enough to make anything work as DeCiani slides into 4th as we watch the battle between Heitman and Benefield. And there you see the driver Sean Conklin fading further and further outside the top 10.
And that right there is what 10-lap advantage on tires will do for you.
It seems to be, but also look at Roger Pierce, though. He's got the same amount, but with that clean air, was able to stay ahead and keep up a good fight with Justin Levine.
Well, Pierce also has, as you said, the clean air and a give-a-damn mentality. Roger, there's one thing I've noticed about Roger Pierce. It may not work out for him every time, but, man, he will keep the foot pegged to the loud pedal 110% all the way through the run. But right now, Justin Levine sizing him up here, trying to take away the first spot from him.
I will say here, as we watch on, Levine trying to go back-to-back after his win at Texas last Thursday night. But here comes Gitter and DeCiani. They're going to try to have something to say about this, along with Joseph Gulata right there in 5th as they come off of turn number 4. Gulata gets a good run, but Gitter keeps the door shut on him as they come off the corner exit. And DeCiani is starting to break away by about a car length over Gitter.
Oh, and here we go for the lead. Justin Levine going to dive down to the bottom into 1 and 2. Pushing his teammate into the corner. Now working the flat of the track. Roger Pierce versus Justin Levine. Levine pulling a side draft down the back straightaway, trying to pull him back into 3. A little bit of contact between the two.
Side by side battle for the race lead. Pierce and we see Levine just riding on that door as they try to work their way across the line. Give the position to Justin Levine to lead his first lap.
Here we go, a little bit of contact down to 1. Levine still fighting on the inside line. Roger Pierce gets loose up top. Levine's going to take the lead out of 2.
Side by side, and now Levine holds on to the race lead. Here comes Gulata down to the bottom of the racetrack to try to get second away from the driver of Roger Pierce. Oh, a little bit of loose right there, gathers it back up, will continue on his way.
A lot of working right in the tire tracks of the 27 of Roger Pierce, now diving it down to the bottom through 1 and 2. Remember, Gulata on a little bit fresher stuff than Roger Pierce as well. 10-lap fresher tires. Down the back straightaway, though, Pierce gets to the outside line momentum.
It is the difference maker here for these competitors as they work their way through, and Colby Jackson playing a little bit of a nuisance up there inside the group, but he is just showing his speed right now as we watch Pierce trying to work his way through to get the position back ahead of Joseph Gulata.
I'll tell you what, man, the racing up here at the front of the pack tonight has been so incredible. It's been impossible for us to focus on much else. As you see, Gulata is still trying to fight it out to get past Roger Pierce here into 3. And it looks like he's going to set up for a slide job, and he's going to take it. Joseph Gulata with a power move going to take away second place from Pierce.
And that will move Gulata up, and he is running some really fast lap times. He was 2/10 faster last time by than Justin Levine for position. So he is going to start barreling down on your race leader here pretty soon. The chance.
I'll tell you what, if you're Justin, you're sweating right now because Gulata, that's somebody that's got a lot of speed, but he's also got a little flair for aggression. These two could be each other's own matches, though, if they get side by side trying to battle it out here as the laps wind down. Coming to the line to take lap 148 here in Kansas Speedway.
You see the tail wiggle right there from Gulata as they come off of turn number 4. They get a little bit of a touch right there from Roger Pierce, but he was able to continue on his way. No harm, no foul. DeCiani right there. Benefield also trying to catch back up. Colby Jackson not on the lead lap, trying to mix it up a little bit with the lead lap cars.
I'll tell you what, a damn shame, too, because Colby Jackson has had a fast piece here this evening.
Even with the significant damage he had. Yes, he has.
Everything that could have gone wrong for that man has gone wrong today, but he's stayed in it. And that's something to be proud of right there. You see him give the spot there to the lead lap cars, knowing that he doesn't want to, stir the mix too much with these guys as they try to get up to your race leader. Classy move from the tic-tac-terrorist.
Absolutely.
He looked like he was spinning there.
It certainly did. How about this for the driver of Roger Pierce? Fastest out of the drivers inside the top 5 with 10 lap tires.
I don't know how he's doing it.
Well, he's doing it. Across the line, DeCiani, Benefield faster than anyone in the top 5.
But if he's doing that right now, the one I'm really going to be sweating for, or sweating about, is going to be Sean Conklin sitting there in 8th place on the same tires as Roger Pierce. We know how good Sean's been on the long run tonight. Looked like he opted for a quick and efficient tire save strategy as Pierce gets tight and loose all at the same time. Right there in front of Patrick Gitter. Washes up the hill, up into the fence right in front of Sean Conklin.
There you see him right there, and he was one of the faster drivers inside the top 10 across the line. In fact, he ran a 31.0. Everyone else did not run a 31.0, except for Derek Heitman, a 31.08. So, as they say, Sean Conklin's starting to reel them back in. And the thing is, he has the time with 25 laps to go.
Yeah, that's plenty of time to get it done, but you got to be efficient. You've got to snipe your way through traffic here with no mistakes. Don't take surgical precision for that 54 machine to get back up to the front.
And it looks like Colby Jackson is out of the race.
Oh, man. I was just telling him how proud I was of him. Dang. I need to stop talking about me.
Well, let's see what happens here as we watch Derek Heitman now starting to fight his way through inside the top 5. He sits 4th after trying to work his way through, but here comes Benefield with a big head of steam as he tries to hunt down your race leader as he finally gets to 2nd place.
But one car into the fence a little bit further in the pack, wasn't able to pull a door number off of it. A lot of smoke, though. Benefield now up to 2nd place. Benefield, somebody that can really be dangerous here as we close in on the finale here at Kansas.
That Gulata dropping big time to 7th place as he and Sean Conklin and Patrick Gitter battling it out for position as here comes DeCiani barreling down on your race leader of Justin Levine along with Heitman and Benefield.
154 on the board. Justin Levine in the lead by about a car length now as Benefield, the closer, the guy that we've been talking about. Yeah, I've been talking about all season, just being so good at just being there at the end, saving his tires and saving his equipment. Here he is with just, shy of 20 laps to go, making a charge for the lead down to the inside of Justin Levine, and he's going to take the spot through 3 and 4. And Levine's going to slide up the track, get a little loose, and stuff it up into the fence. Adam Benefield, 155 laps in, now your race leader.
New race leader, and here comes Derek Heitman as well. He's going to make a big run as we take a look at the replay of what happened here as they come down the back straightaway. You see the run that you see coming, building for Benefield. He'll then send it down to the bottom of the racetrack and just tries to work it up a little bit. That allows Levine to get too tight right there, slaps the wall off turn number 4, and he will take back the race lead here.
Hard into the wall out of 2. Out of 4.
Tough break for Patrick Gitter as he tries to recover, but he will drop back to 9th position.
Only 3 wide, too. Roger Pierce, Patrick Gitter, and Alex Coffey 3 wide into 1. Coffey sending up against the fence, using the high line momentum to pull him down the back straightaway. 3 wide going to split up for now. Gitter still struggling, though, falling backwards on these tires.
How about Sean Conklin, though? He fell back outside the top 10. He's now sits 3rd as he battles with Levine.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. And also, we haven't talked about him all race long, but in 2nd place, Derek Heitman.
All I can say is cue the Jaws music for the driver of that number 54 Napa Toyota.
If I was Benefield, I'd be throwing a damn banana peel or something out the window right now.
I would be too, hoping for the best as the blue shell is coming, and it is the number 54 that is barreling down towards your race leader.
I think this is a part about the time frame where Edstrom would be screaming, Levine is fading fast.
Levine is trying to hold on as best he can. He has about a 10th advantage last time by, but he is trying to hold on. Here comes Conklin to the inside of Heitman. And for 2nd, side by side, Heitman trying to hold him off a little bit, pushes down, and that will cause a little bit of issues right there for Conklin.
Oh, and they're both loose. Heitman puts it into the fence, sliding up the track, about lost the tail end of the car, but it works out for him, though, because the 54 machine of Conklin gets loose as well. Justin Levine going to give a push to the 76 of Heitman down the front straightaway, keeping this battle alive for just a little bit longer. And Adam Benefield is looking in the mirror and just reaping the benefits as these two go toe-to-toe down the backstretch.
The more these 3 battle, the more happier Benefield will get, because that allows him to just slowly pull away from these drivers. And how about Jarrett Feltman right there in 5th position? He's starting to close in on this battle for the 2nd place.
I picked him as my driver tonight. This is what I saw out of him in NIS the other night. It was so impressive. The guy, I've never mentioned him anytime I've been in the booth. Just out of nowhere, was finding himself up into the potential winning position all race long last night. And here we are, 160 laps in, money window is open, and that 29 Ford Mustang is looking fast again.
He certainly is there in that TWRS Ford Mustang, the Mac Tools machine, and the Bridgestone Toyota trying to see what they can do, but they are losing time as Sean Conklin closes in on the Team Conti Chevrolet.
Conklin working the outside line, trying to reel in the gap to Adam Benefield. 0.3 of a second separating these two right now. Conklin on 10-lap older tires, and contact between Levine and Heitman. Levine washing up into the door of the 76 machine, opening the door for the 29 of Feltman. Now they're 3 wide here at the start-finish line. Feltman going to roll out of it, though, and take the grass to avoid getting into the back of the Mac Tools machine.
Justin Levine nearly got turned around by Feltman right there as he tried to go all the way towards that grass line right there, but he's able to recover nicely. DeCiani, though, back into the hunt as here comes Conklin to the back bumper of the Team Conti machine of Benefield as they head into 3 and 4, nose to tail, side by side, as it's a matter of who can survive in these last 15 laps.
0.2 of a second faster that last lap for Conklin over Benefield. Now Conklin getting to the right rear quarter panel here at the start-finish line. They're going to be side by side down into 1 and 2, and based on the momentum I've seen out of the 54 of Conklin these past couple laps, I think this is going to be a fairly simple pass. Here comes Conklin with the momentum on the outside line, clearing the 83 machine of Benefield down the back straightaway. Sean Conklin on 10-lap older tires is now your race leader.
great drive right here. Great strategy, I would have to say, by Sean Conklin. Just letting the car come back to him, letting everyone else pretty much just go through and power on with their tires and wear them off quicker than what he has, and he is able to showcase the skill to retake the race lead. Meanwhile, Justin Levine finally clears Derek Heitman for third, but here comes Feltman and Gulata in the hunt as well for the final step of the podium.
Feltman working the bottom line right now, trying to make something happen to the 76 of Heitman. Not able to do it, though. Heitman using the top line to pull the momentum down the back straightaway. Gonna pull ahead for a second here, but as we work into 3 and 4, Feltman still keeping it down tidy on the white line. Heitman gonna pull away again here on the front stretch. And now Gulata's in the picture. And 3 wide, Gulata trying to send it down the middle. But also at the front, Benefield not giving up, closing the gap a little bit to Sean Conklin here. Car length separating the 2 down the back straightaway into 3.
Here they go, and they do that. They're 3 wide a little further back. How about Roger Pierce, or Tommy Gossett, actually? Remember, he got a penalty on the opening lap, and he is now in the hunt in 7th position looking for more.
Well, Tommy Gossett got exactly what he needed. He needed a caution to come out at the right time, and all races seemed like it eluded him. Here we are, 166 laps into this thing. He's back on the lead lap. Fast car, good driver. He's in play here.
He is absolutely in play, and he is going to fight for it as he tries to get a top 5 finish, as Conklin and Benefield trading paints here as they get set for a run in the final 10 laps to go, as we see the gaggle and hornet's nest of drivers trying to see what they can do, but it's basically a fight for third in this battle.
No, up into the fence goes Feltman, goes up to the top line and trying to pull the momentum and catches the wall. Doesn't slow him down too much, though, as he still has a good run down the back straightaway, pulling him to the back bumper of the 19 Mac Tools machine of Justin Levine.
Feltman trying to do what he can. I would say runs the bottom of the racetrack, but we go and keep an eye on the battle for the race lead between Benefield and Conklin as they come out of turn number 4. Gulata struggling right there. This opens the door for Tommy Gossett to get around him for 6th position. Not going to work this time. He has to try to find a different opening.
Huge dive into 3. Going to close up the advantage for Benefield. Picks off about 3 car lengths that go round. If he's able to keep this up, he might be able to bring another fight to the 54 Sean Conklin. Another deep dive down into 3 and 4 this time. Not as good as 1 and 2, but still within the picture, within a spitting distance of possibly battling for the race win here as we take lap 169 out of 175.
Big run coming here from Benefield as he tries to run the bottom of the racetrack as they come through turns 1 and 2. Not going to work, though, but he's got a good run here. Can he keep the momentum up to get right on the back bumper of that Toyota Camry? Yes, he can. Can he send it in 3 and 4? Not quite good enough. He can get to the door, but not anywhere closer as he is stuck. Seems like the air is kind of preventing him from making that final push to get around Sean Conklin for the race lead.
What he needs right now is what Sean Conklin has. That momentum at the top line to carry him there, but not able to make it work directly behind him because of the dirty air. But he's going to try everything he can on this low line.
Meanwhile,
see him dive it down again through 1 and 2.
Big run right here as he tries to hold on for 2nd. Derek Heitman finally gets around Levine and Feltman for 3rd position, but Adam Benefield doing everything that he can to try and get the run. A little bit of looseness right there. You saw Bobble. That's going to drop him a couple of car lanes behind Sean Conklin.
Let's calm down for 3rd as Derek Heitman takes the position away from these guys. Levine still fighting with Feltman, though. Feltman working the outside lane, using that momentum to pull him up to the door. Going for a little bit of a crossover here. Or not. Just going to tuck back in line. Never mind. Here we go. There it is. Feltman diving down to the bottom into 3 and 4, side by side with Levine. As we got a little bit of 3 wide racing a little further back.
Levine gets a little bit loose in the middle of turn 3 and 4, gathers it back up, gets in front of Feltman as Tommy Gossett sits in 6, trying to hold off a hornet's nest of drivers that are barreling down on him, led by Gitter and Gulata.
Front, looks like smooth sailing for Sean Conklin as he pulls out a 2.5, almost 3/10 of a second lead over 2nd place Adam Benefield.
They're about to put just Kazian lap down here in the closing laps at Kansas Speedway. We're about to see another barn burner possibly happen. Benefield trying to at least see if he can wind it back up to have another shot at it, but I think it might be too little too late as Gitter goes around the outside of Pulata. Can't quite make it work as he tries to get a little bit of help from the 33.
Down the back straightaway now. 3.5 of a second lead for Sean Conklin over Adam Benefield into 3 and 4. Still working up on the outside lines. We're looking further back. Gulata trying to thread the middle, make something happen here against Patrick Gitter and Roger Pierce. Sorry, Tommy Gossett.
Oh,
and
contact!
11-1 around goes Gulata through the grass with 2 laps to go. No caution. We might find one.
Keep it out of there.
No, Gulata does a great job keeping it under him. No caution. And a self-sacrifice to set up for a good finish here at Kansas.
Absolutely. We're coming to take the white flag as we see Sean Conklin continuing to showcase here. I believe this is his first race of the season here with the OB Builders Cup Series. White flag in the air.
Sean Conklin now pretty much on cruise control. Final lap, white flag is in the air, working the outside line through 1 and 2. On 10-lap older tires, looked like the race was basically over for him as everybody else dove down pit road to take 4 fresh. Sean Conklin using great strategy, puts himself further back in the pack, saves a little bit extra for the final shot to the finish here, and into 3 and 4, the Napa Auto Parts machine. High, wide, and handsome. Shades of Harry Gant out of 4. Sean Conklin, your race winner here for the OB Builders Cup Series from Kansas. Second place going to Adam Benefield, followed by Derek Heitman in 3rd. Justin Levine bringing it home 4th, and Jared Feltman with a great late race recovery to bring it home 5th.
Absolutely incredible racing we saw here today at Kansas Speedway. And of course, for the driver of Sean Conklin, it's no surprise to be seeing him back in victory lane.
Great performance for the 54 machine. And honestly, dude, I don't know what you were thinking there, but when that caution came out and everybody else pit, I thought Conklin's race was over.
Absolutely, but I think it looks like he just had a little bit of a different strategy and was thinking let everyone else burn their stuff up and he'll come back through and pass them again.
Also, pretty solid burnout. I have to give him 4 stars on that one. A lot of smoke. Although we'll have to maybe deduct for the rear bumper against the wall. Oh, he's putting it up against the wall now. All right, he knows the way to my heart. Yeah, it's a 4.5 now. As Sean Conklin burns it down, we're going to go over the unofficial results here from Kansas. Race winner, obviously Sean Conklin, followed by Adam Benefield 2nd. 3rd going to Derek Heitman. 4th is Justin Levine. 5th place going to be Jared Feltman. 6th with an amazing recovery, Tommy Gossett. 7th place, Patrick Gitter, followed by Alex Coffey in 8th. 9th place, Matt DiCiani, and running at your top 10 is going to be Brandon Pasalacqua.
Randy Mullins will finish 11th, followed by Brian Johnson 12th. 13th is Greg Carr. Alexander Carr in 14th position. Paul Bergoli 15th. Chris Vinson in 16th. Luke Christian 17th. Roger Pierce 18th. And then Paul Hill and Joseph Gulata, your top. Well, actually, they switched it up. It's going to be Paul Hill, then Johan Seminario in 20th.
In 21st, we got Sean Bender, followed by Joshua Hyatt in 22nd. 23rd, going to be Corey Moore with Joseph Causey in 24th. 25th, going to be Joseph Gulata after a heartbreaking turn of events in the last handful of laps. 26th is going to be Chad Kibbe, followed by Josh Schaffner at 27th. 28th position is going to be Randy Belk. Then 29th is going to be Cody Curran. And rounding out your top 30, it's going to be Colby Jackson.
Carl Dodson in 31st, followed by Tyler Hunter 32nd. Peter Irons, Dustin Motley, Chris Crosby, Darren Mullins, your 36 drivers that took to the race field here tonight.
Taylor, what a race, man.
Absolutely. A fun finish here. We saw some great strategy play out for several drivers, and of course some drivers who made their way up through the field and drivers who struggled at the end.
Man, I was just, I was expecting, I was expecting for it to tame down up there at the front at some point. Because, I was expecting us to, do kind of like the midfield coverage like we normally do week in and week out. But, God, these guys put on such a good performance up in the top 5 all race. It was so hard to really go back to the pack.
It really was.
I do believe it is interview time right now. And I'm going to be sitting here with old Derek Heitman, our third place finisher this evening. Derek, you got your ears on. Man, where did you come from? Because... Oh, hold on. We gotta fix it quick. It is confirmed that Grid Vision is not a fan of Derek Heitman. We have just realized that. Do you believe the technical issue is fixed currently? Oh, no. All right, roll the music. All right. Let's try this all over again. All right, Sheldon. All right, Derek. It's Sheldon up here in the booth. Where did you come from, man? Because all race I was looking for you, didn't see you. We get down to those last 15, 20 laps, and you're coming on strong, sitting there in that top three. Just walk me through your strategy today.
Strategy was, I guess I really didn't have one because I started in the back. I was having headset issues. So I was more concerned with getting that fixed rather than qualifying. I had no sound for some reason. I exited sim, re-entered sim, couldn't get nothing, checked my sound settings in the tab, nothing. And all it took was me turning my headset off and back on for it to work. So that was really weird. Then on the start of the race, there was a big checkup for, because people can't. There was just a bunch up and a checkup, and I got nose damage at the start. And then when we pitted under that first yellow, I was a doofus and forgot that I started in the back. So I drove right past my pit stall. And then I pitted on 1 to go and started that very first run about 5 seconds back off the pack. Drove the hell out of the car to catch the field and catch draft. And then saved and draft a little bit and through the pit cycle and everything, somehow drove all the way up to P9. So I was kind of kicking myself for my beginning of the race woes. And then I guess, unlimited tire sets in this league, so you had to pit on that last yellow. I can't believe Sean didn't pit unless he's just decided to challenge himself a little bit. But I unfortunately took full fuel on the very last second to last pit stop. So then when we got that other yellow 9 laps in, I put a big adjustment in the car because the track temp was falling drastically. And I was too loose. I was definitely the fastest car there at the very end. I was putting down the fastest lap times, but I was that didn't happen until the fuel burned off and my adjustment got to where I actually needed it to be. So we'll take a P3 though. Definitely a long race, but it was great to have that big giant green flag run. And yeah, not too bad for a debut, I guess, huh?
Yeah, that's heck, dude, you had just about everything that could have gone wrong with you go wrong today, and you fight and claw your way up there into the top 3 at the end. Pretty good signs of what we can expect out of you going forward here. What do you want to thank and shout out for this podium finish this evening?
Yeah, of course, shout out Ken and Ryko. I mean, to my surprise, I just decided on a whim to run this race tonight. I was playing Call of Duty all night, and I got talked into running this race, and I showed up, and my whole team was in here. I was like, oh, hello, boys. So, yeah, I'm glad I was able to pull out where I did, but shout out all those guys for showing up and racing tonight, and we had a lot of good green flag runs, and shout out Ken for building amazing setups every single week. I'm pretty terrible when it comes to 30 laps or less, unfortunately, so I'm glad that race was able to stay green and a sprint to the, rather than a sprint to the end, because I actually got to show pace in the car. But Sean showed it the best, right? I mean, his tires were 9 laps older than everybody else. I don't know. He had grip packs on or something. I have no clue, but that was a hell of a race. Shout out Adam for P2 and you guys sitting up in the booth. Randy for putting on Randy and the Paradigm guys, I guess, for putting on a great league. So thanks, guys.
Well, thank you for spending a couple of extra minutes of your night this evening up here in the booth with us. I'm going to hand this over to Taylor Burris with second place, Adam Benefiel.
As we are joined by Adam Benefiel. Adam, I gotta say, you've been challenging yourself here recently? You started outside the top 30, but found your way up into a shot of almost coming home with a checkered flag.
No. I meant to qualify, but been sick and uh, wife and kids were going to bed, so kind of dealing with doing dad stuff and uh, trying to get some medicine in me before this thing started, and didn't really have. I guess I missed qualifying.
Understood. But I mean, walk us through this race. I mean, you've really showcased a lot of great tire management from start to finish to be able to come home with this second place finish. I mean, what were some of the ways you were able to basically save tires to where you were in contention for this win?
I mean, I don't know. I guess that's just the way I race. That's the style. I'm not as fast out the gate like Sean or Derek, or well, Derek's kind of like me in a way, but I'm definitely not as fast as Sean out the gate. So I got that old man, uh, old man in me. So I gotta take my time getting up to the front and just kind of let the wrecks happen, stay out of trouble, and that's grew up racing real cars. That's how you do it. So kind of manage the race, and that's what I try to do. And we had a good pace long run. I don't think I ever had anything really for Sean. He was in his own league. I think the draft is really what just held me there, made it look like I had something. But yeah, it was a good race. It was fun. We had a top 5 car, and we were able to walk away with P2. I really think that Rocco could have went 1, 2, 3 tonight. Ken had them dialed up, so we just played the cards right and took the opportunities when we could, and walked away with second.
Well, at least you broke up the Ryko performance domination that we saw here tonight a little bit for the Team Conti group. Anyone else you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, hell, that's tough. One man against what? How many was in this race tonight? 4, 5?
Give or take.
It's tough sometimes, but yeah, just everybody at Team Conti, Sim Performance, for all they do. Brandon for letting me in here, y'all for broadcasting. Like I said before, y'all are one of my favorite broadcasts. I've raced with Sheldon I remember him back in the day, so we always get together. It's good to hear his voice and hear him broadcasting. Yeah, the good racing tonight. Congrats to Sean. Congrats, Derek. It was fun.
Absolutely. Your second place finisher, Mr. Adam Benfield, as Sheldon has caught up with your race winner, Mr. Sean Conklin.
And dominating performance as per usual, and on a 10-lap disadvantage on tires. Sean, how did you even manage it, man?
Just doing the same thing I did all race. I don't know, just me and that strategy just works well. And the first 20 laps, it looks like I'm just falling through the field, but just going all the way back to 10th, riding around, sitting on the bottom, and then going for it there at the end just really makes the tires come alive. I mean, even with that 10-lap deficit, yeah, I don't know, just did that all race. Still had 50 laps to go there at the end. Just figured I'd do it again. No point in changing up the strategy there at the end.
So tell me, you look into the mirror on that caution, and you see the entire field send down pit road. What are you feeling at that moment? Knowing that, you've had the car that you can walk away about, what was it? I think at one point, were we at 7 seconds at one point in one of the runs? I feel like we were. It was crazy.
8 or so, I think.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, even better. Like, what are you feeling in that moment?
Yeah, that was definitely a little I'm not sure what the word for it is, but it was heart sank a little bit. I guess we'll go with that one. And just watching the entire field roll down pit road, and we got 4 cars that didn't. So it was hard to kind of pull yourself back up and just kind of run the rest of the race out. But I figured that there's no point in just pushing and blowing the tires off with the 10 lap deficit that we had. Might as well just keep doing what it all race, save, and try to get back up there, and it wound up working. So yeah, that was definitely interesting watching the whole field roll down pit road while we stayed out, but it wound up working in the end, so that's all that matters.
Well, Sean, another incredible performance from you tonight. Gotta say, the burnouts definitely coming a long way on those. I did have to dock a point because you slammed it into the wall with the initial spin, but gotta give you credit. You knew the soft spots in my heart there, pinning up against the wall Harvick style and just letting her eat. So good job on that. Aside from that, big win tonight, big dominating performance. Who do you want to thank and shout out for it?
I just want to shout out everybody that worked on the car yesterday and today. Anything else went great last night, didn't go so great today. Just haven't been able to show our speed in those races, but I'm glad we were able to tonight. Want to thank Randy for putting on the league, and most of all, this race was definitely for Ken's grandpa that we unfortunately lost earlier today. So I'm glad that we can get it done for the two of them.
Well, heart goes out to Ken and everybody directly adjacent. Know how strong he is on his family man mentality. But thank you for stepping up here in the booth and putting on a great performance tonight and giving us something to call here.
Thank you.
And as we move to wind down here for the OB Builders Cup Series from Kansas, what are your final thoughts on this thing tonight, Taylor? Because we saw just about everything you could see at Kansas.
We absolutely did, and it just showcases the amazing talent that this field has and this series has to showcase here. And of course, one of the things that we look forward to with this series is the close, tight-knit racing, as well as the tight-knit community. These drivers here that we will see competing for the rest of the season are going to be racing multiple different races, multiple different series throughout the duration of the 2025, and you're going to see the best of them right here on Grid Vision.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a great evening sitting up here in the booth calling this with you guys tonight. OB Builders Cup Series putting on a great performance as always. I've been Sheldon Atkins, joined in the booth here with Taylor Burris and in the production truck doing great stuff as always, Austin Derbyshire. And I still need to get the script on this one, Darby. But want to get down here, we'll see you next week with more incredible racing coverage here on the grid.